Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs les...
Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, members of committee, hello. My name is Jeanette Patel, and I am responsible for government affairs and public policies for Google and YouTube in Canada.
I am joined by my colleague, Shane Huntley, who leads a group dedicated to protecting Google and our users from advanced threats, including those posed by state-sponsored attacks. Nous apprécions les efforts du comité pour sensibiliser à la collecte et au partage.
We appreciate the committee's efforts to raise awareness on the illicit sharing of personal data and examining the risks of that in Canada.
In the products and services Canadians use each day more helpful. When Canadians use our services, they are trusting us with their information. This is a responsibility that we take very seriously at Google, and we protect user privacy with industry-leading security infrastructure, responsible data practices, and easy-to-use privacy tools that put our users in control. Tools like our privacy checkup and our security checkup give people personalized privacy and security reminders and recommendations, including flagging actions they should take to immediately secure their Google account. Les deux bilans de santé permettent aux utilisateurs de personnaliser étape par étape leur contrôle de sécurité et de confidentialité en fonction.
They need to be able
protection program, which is available to anyone, but is specifically designed for individuals and organizations such as elected officials, political campaigns, human rights activists, and journalists who are at a higher risk of targeted online attacks. Treating our user data responsibly and protecting user privacy includes protecting data from third parties. That's why it's our strict policy to never sell our users' personal information to anyone. And when it comes to government requests for user information, our team carefully reviews each request to make sure it satisfies applicable laws. If a request asks for too much information, we try to narrow it, and in some cases we object to producing any information at all. We have also taken the lead in being transparent about government requests for user information through our transparency reports. In addition to these industry-leading tools and strict protocols, we invest significantly in global teams and operations to prevent abuse on our platforms. One of those teams is our threat analysis group. I'll now pass it to my colleague Shane to speak to the work his group does to secure our users' information against bad actors.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. As Jeanette mentioned, I'm the director of Google's Threat Analysis Group, or TAG. While I'm personally based in Australia, we are a global team, and a significant part of which is based in Google's Montreal office, which I'm sure this committee well knows is a growing hub of cybersecurity talent and expertise. Our global team of analysts and security experts work closely with product teams to analyze and counter threats to our platform and our users, including threats from government-backed attackers, serious cyber criminals, and information operations. Hostile actors continue to attempt to access and misuse our platforms, and Google has invested heavily over many years to counter attempts to deceive, harm, or take advantage of users. And we don't just mitigate security risks, we work to eliminate entire classes of threats for consumers and businesses whose work and lives depend on the internet. On any given day, TAG is tracking more than 270 targeted or government-backed attacker groups from more than 50 countries. We publish a quarterly bulletin about actions we take against accounts that we attribute to coordinated influence campaigns. For instance, in the third quarter of 2023, we reported disabling influence campaigns originating from groups including Russia, Iran, China, and Mexico. We are particularly focused on disrupting coordinated influence operations on YouTube. For example, since January 2023, we terminated more than 2,400 YouTube channels linked to Russia and more than 60,000 channels linked to China as part of our investigations into this activity. These actions are in addition to YouTube's ongoing enforcement of community guidelines, which resulted in the removal of more than 8 million videos globally in the third quarter of 2023. As we discover and disrupt operations, we take steps to protect users, disclose information publicly, and share our findings with industry and government partners to support the entire ecosystem. We also issue warnings to our users when we believe that they have been targeted by a government-backed attack. While this work is never done, we continue to take action, identify bad actors, and share relevant information to protect users and prevent future attacks. We would like to thank the committee for your attention to this critical issue and allowing us to share more on our work to keep Canadians safe and our investments and in the right expertise to protect users on our platform. We remain committed to partnering with the Canadian government to ensure a stronger and safer digital future for all Canadians. We look forward to answering your questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Huntley and Ms. Patel. We're going to go to Meta now. You have 5 minutes to address the committee. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My name is Nathaniel Gleischer, and I am the head of security policy at Meta. My work is focused on addressing the adversarial threats that we face every day to the security and integrity of our products and services, and taking steps to protect our users in every way that we can. I have worked in cybersecurity and trust and safety for 2 decades, first as a technical expert, and then as a cybercrime prosecutor at the U.S. Department of Justice, and as Director for Cybersecurity Policy at the National Security Council. I'm joined by video conference today by 2 colleagues at Meta, Rachel Curran, the Head of Public Policy for Canada, and Dr. Lindsay Hundley, our Lead for Influence Operations Policy. At Meta, we work hard to identify and counter foreign adversarial threats, including hacking campaigns, cyber espionage operations, as well as influence operations, what we call coordinated inauthentic behavior, or CIB, which we define as any coordinated effort to manipulate public debate for a strategic goal in which fake accounts are central to the operation. CIB is when users coordinate with one another and use fake accounts to mislead others about who they are and what they are doing. At Meta, our community standards prohibit inauthentic behavior, including by users who seek to misrepresent themselves, use fake accounts, or artificially boost the popularity of content. This policy is intended to protect the security of user accounts and our services and create a space where people can trust the people and communities they interact with on our platforms. We also know that threat actors are working to interfere with and manipulate public debate, exploit societal divisions, promote fraud, influence elections, and target authentic social engagement across the internet. Stopping these bad actors, both on our platforms and more broadly, is one of our highest priorities. That's why we have invested significantly in people and technology to combat inauthentic behavior. The security teams at Meta have developed policies, automated detection tools, and enforcement frameworks to tackle deceptive actors, both foreign and domestic. These investments in technology have enabled us to stop millions of attempts to create fake accounts every day and to detect and remove millions more, often within minutes of their creation. Just this year, Meta has disabled almost 2 billion fake accounts. The vast majority of those, more than 99% of them, were identified proactively before receiving any report. As part of this work, we regularly publish reports on our work to counter the threats we're discussing here today. To talk more about that, I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Hundley, who coordinates our work to identify and expose foreign interference.
My name is Lindsay Hundley, and I lead Meta's policy work on countering influence operations, both overt and covert. My work at the company draws on my nearly 10 years of experience as a researcher focused on issues related to foreign interference, including in my doctoral work at Stanford University and during research fellowships at both Stanford and Harvard. Meta uses a behavior-based approach to identify covert influence operations, not one that's based on the content that they share. We remove networks like these no matter who is behind them, what they post, or whether they are foreign or domestic. If helpful, I'd be happy to give specific examples. We have taken down more than 200 covert influence operations from 68 countries in at least 42 languages, from Amharic to Urdu to Russian and Chinese. We regularly report these findings through our adversarial threat reports. Sharing this information has enabled our teams, investigative journalists, government officials, and industry peers to better understand and expose internet-wide security risk, including ahead of critical elections. As of our latest report, China is now the 3rd most common geographic source of foreign CIB that we have disrupted, after Russia and Iran. This year, we have taken down 5 CIB networks from China, more than any other country. Regardless of who was behind these networks or what they targeted, these CIB operations emanating from China typically posted content related to China's interests in different regions worldwide. Many praised China. Some defended its human rights records in Tibet and Xinjiang. Others criticized critics of the Chinese government, including journalists and researchers. Countering foreign influence operations is a whole of society effort. No single platform can solve foreign interference on its own, which is why we work with our industry peers, independent researchers, investigative journalists, government, and law enforcement. Thank you for your focus on this work, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hundley. That was precisely on time between the two of you. Thank you for that. And now we're going to go to X Corporation. Please go ahead for 5 minutes. Address the committee.
To the chair and members of the committee, thank you for the invitation to appear before you today. My name is Wilfredo Fernandez, and I serve as head of government affairs for the U.S. and Canada at X. And I'm joined by my colleague, Josh Harris, our lead privacy counsel for North America. X's mission is to promote and protect the public conversation, to be the town square of the internet. People's right to privacy and data protection is a fundamental right, not a privilege. X is a uniquely open service. We offer a range of ways for people to be a part of the conversation on X on their terms, from creating pseudonymous accounts to protect their identity to letting people control who sees their posts. Our privacy efforts have enabled people around the world using X to protect their own data. That same philosophy guides how we work to protect the data people share with X. We empower people who use our service to make informed decisions about the data they share with us. We believe individuals should know and have meaningful control over what data is being collected about them, how it's used, and when it's shared. We're guided by the principle that we should only use data for the purpose for which it was collected. We have one global privacy program that encompasses the highest data protection standards of the world and a single global privacy policy, which we have worked hard to make clear and easy to understand. X is always working to improve transparency into what data is collected and how it is used. Through the account settings on X, we give people the ability to make a variety of choices about their data privacy, including limiting the data we collect, determining whether they see interest-based advertising, and controlling how we personalize their experience. In addition, we provide people the ability to access information about advertisers that have included them in tailored audiences to serve them ads, demographic and interest data about their account from ad partners, and information X has inferred about them. Behind the scenes, teams across the company are constantly working to protect the privacy and data of those who use our service. This work has several areas of focus. Over the last year, we have been overhauling technical infrastructure and products to make X more efficient and durable. Tackling technical debt isn't just good for the privacy and safety of people who use X, it will help us get us better products and services to people faster. Privacy by design is a priority with every product we build. We execute comprehensive privacy reviews for all new features and tools we roll out, and perform additional data protection impact assessments for products that may pose additional risk to our users. In addition, we have taken steps to mitigate unauthorized scraping and harvesting of X data. No single mitigation can protect against all the privacy harms associated with such activity. Some actions we've taken include the use of dedicated teams that work together to monitor, identify, and mitigate scraping activity across a range of vectors in the platform, the introduction of rate limits to limit a malicious actor's ability to scrape data, expanded user verification offerings to assess that a given account applicant is a real person and not a bot, and updates to our terms of service to make it clear that scraping is an express misuse of the X service. X is public and posts are immediately viewable and searchable by anyone around the world. We give people non-public ways to communicate on X2 through protected accounts and direct messages. It is also possible to use X under a pseudonym if you prefer not to use your real name. When people use X, even if they're just looking at posts, we receive some personal information, like the type of device they're using and their IP address. People can choose what additional information to share with us, including email address, phone number, address book contacts, and a public profile. We use the information for things like keeping accounts secure and showing people more relevant posts, people to follow, events, and ads. Like many peer companies, X's business is largely based on advertising. We have some fundamental differences. In general, rather than focusing on who you are, our data is more about what you're interested in. For example, what you repost, what you like, whom you follow, all of which is public. X has an open public API making data available for developers, journalists, brands, and researchers for analysis, to build businesses, provide services, and to create innovative products. We do not provide personally identifiable information through our API that is not already visible on the service. We take our responsibility to protect people's data seriously and have strict policies and processes in place to assess applications for uses of X data and restrict improper use of such. Notwithstanding the fact that our API only makes available public data, we have long-standing rules against use of our data for surveillance. As a company, we will always err on the side of protecting the voices of those who use our service. Privacy and data protection is the heart of our company-wide priority to build products that earn the trust of people who use them. Freedom of speech and expression is built on this foundation, and we take this responsibility very seriously. Thank you, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Thank you all for your opening statements.